Hi everyone, and welcome back to another Brooks Price Action Weekend Market Update. My name's Tim Fairweather, and today I'll be covering the DAX 40 Futures. Okay, so let's take a look at the DAX 40 Futures here. So when I look at the chart, what are the first things I notice? I'm on the monthly chart. I've got a 20 bar and a 200 bar moving average. If I draw a line along that moving average and I pull it up to the top of that spike, we're right up the top of this bull channel. We had an attempt at a double top on the monthly chart. We broke out. So this potential measured moves up to around 22,100, more of a longer term target there. You could also look at this bull spike. That would give you a target up 22,700. So we've got targets above on the monthly chart. We've still got 12 days before the end of the month. And last month is a bad looking buy signal. What do I mean by that? I mean, it's a bull bar. It's closing below its midpoint. That means a lot of computers will see it as a bear bar and has a big tail on top and a small body. That means there's more likely to be buyers around the close, and the low of that bar are more likely to be sellers around the high and probably projected upwards. So I think at the moment, we're still going up. There's nothing to sell, but I wouldn't be surprised if we end up closing back in the middle of that towards the end of the month. But always in long, and the trend is quite strong. If you can take your trend line and put it right in the middle of that channel and the bars are hugging it, it means it's more likely to act as support. We can go up, pull back to it, probably find buyers. It's a small pullback bull trend shape to it, and they can go much longer than everyone expects. So always in long on the monthly chart. Let's take a look at the DAX 40 futures on the weekly chart. I've got the futures chart here, not the cash index. So if I zoom in a little bit, what happened in the prior week? Well, we had a bull bar with a big tail on it. If we go to the cash index, very similar. We had an attempt at a wedge top, at a double top, but in bull trends, double tops often fail. We had an attempt here, we had an attempt here. What I think is most interesting is this gap. We've got a negative gap or a body gap between these bear bars, and that creates potentially a couple of different targets. We've reached one, which was around the 20,800, 20,900 mark. If the gap is the middle of that measured move, it was a breakout, pullback, and then a high one. We had an inside bar, and we went slightly above it. Not a lot of traders buying above that bar. Then a bull bar with a big tail. More traders buying the close rather than above. And so the targets for those traders, maybe from that bull bar there, all the way up there, or from the lower high, maybe they've got a target through that. I think a better target would have been here and either buying the close of that. You can see here, this strong bull bar had really bad follow through, and a lot of those traders exited as soon as that bar closed. They got out, and we might see what happens here on the follow through. Bulls want a small bull bar here to go higher, but I suspect we're going to come back and test the high of this breakout point. We might even come down to test the top of that bar. I think it was reasonable for bears to sell, betting the gap's going to close. They're going to sell and scale in. For most traders, I think buying the close, buying the test of that bear bar was a good buy. Excuse me. So if you put your stop at the higher low and your entry was the pullback to that bar, you basically your one-to-one target here, and you got to close above. Traders will see whether we're going to hold for more there. I think it's a bull channel. There are some traders taking profits at highs, but always in long on the weekly time frame and nothing to sell. Okay, so let's look at the DAX 40, the futures chart here. So I said last week, I thought this was possibly a lower high because we had a failed high one by here, and then we had another failed high one by here. So there were actually more sellers, more bears on the top of those bars, and they made a scalp back to the moving average. What was interesting was the tail on this day, strong reversal at the moving average. If I zoom into the chart, let's go and have a look at the 5-minute chart. You can see low, you see the high one failed, and then we had a strong, we had a wedge bottom down here, but then the day ended on its high. So it ended as a doji, but basically a strong reversal, cup and handle pattern. And then we had incredibly strong buying at the lows of the day. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bull bars in a row, very strong buying. So we're always in long, and then coming into the next session, you can see gap up and another high one buy, and that became the high all that became the center of the range, and then we basically just broke out for the rest of the week. Here I've got the etc trading hours, and you can see bears try to get a sell signal here and not able to get one-to-one. So what do you do when it goes above that bar? Well, I think when you have a really bad looking entry bar like this, you're in a bull channel and you close above that moving average, that's a sign that everyone else has scalped out. It looked like the better sell was a little bit higher. I think the stop needed to be up there anyway. So I think traders here, instead of buying this bull bar, you put a stop up there, you sell, and that's where you exit. And then when we came into the session with this bull bar, you've got a spike, high one, basically a micro high two. It's a triangle. And if you're going to take a 50-50 bet in a bull channel and you're above the moving average, the best bet is more up. So now we've got super strong bull bar closing above a prior high. So that was the prior high. That's where we closed. The follow through wasn't great. We had a gap up. Even though it's a bear bar, it's still closing above the close of the prior bar. So that close is 27.60. That high is 27.59. So still a one tick difference between that high and that close. And then when we open the following day, not a great sell signal. What's going to happen next week? Well, we've got spike, pause, and a spike. So it's a two-legged pattern. I think it's more likely to have a couple legs sideways to down to test this breakout point. It's also by the close. It's a strong bull bar, but the stop is very far away. Got to stop at the moving average, and you're expecting 21,700. These were the targets on the weekly chart that I talked about a bit earlier. So if we go back to the weekly chart, so you can see, if you bought the close there, you've got a target up there. If you bought the high of that range, so you bought a breakout to a new high, you never got stopped out. That's taking you to 21,500. So you're looking for a measured move. Because we're sitting at the top of that channel, it'll be interesting to see whether this is going to get a follow through bar. Bears not able to get consecutive bear bars below the moving average. So still more likely this is going to be a bull channel here. 1, 2, and maybe 3 legs up like this is one possibility. Can the bears step in and can it become an exhaustion gap back down? Well, it can be. You don't have a sell signal. So I have to see on Monday. It's always in long. So better to be long or flat going into the week. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found that valuable. If you've got any further questions, please feel free to put them in the comments below. For those of you on the Brooks Price Action Discord, you can also reach me on there under Tim F. Otherwise, please tune into my channel. I'll be posting new videos through the week. Have a great trading week, and I'll see you next weekend.